Linux distros are all safe. No, they're not. NinjaOne just powered up, and metagroups are for members only. These stories and much more on today's episode of MSP Dispatch.
This episode is presented by OIT VoIP. Enhance your client's communication abilities with our VoIP solution, featuring integrated billing, on-demand training, and live US support. Collaborate seamlessly with Microsoft Teams integration and put your entire phone system in your pocket with Mobile X. Improve your offerings and increase profitability with reliable service for 1/10 of the average MSP acquisition cost. To learn more, visit oit.co or dial 844-CALL-OIT.
Good morning and welcome to the February 9th episode of MSP Dispatch, your source for news, community events, and commentary in the MSP channel. I'm Tony Francisco, joined by my co-host, who's the real host, the anchor host, Mr. Ray Orsini. Ray, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic. I just got back from Disney, literally yesterday. Took a quick midweek trip just to get out of the office. Weather was phenomenal. Winter. We have winter in Florida.
It's weird.
Usually that's like 2 Tuesdays and they're on different months. This year, I mean, yeah, thanks, Al Gore. Global warming. I get it bad. But also, it's the first winter I've had in Florida in like decades.
Hold on. I want to pause. Everyone, when he says winter, I just want to know, in Florida, that means it actually drops below 70 degrees. I just want to point that out because, people are not understanding.
We spent the weeks between the 50s and 60s, and we've had several weeks like that. And yes, that's Florida winter. That's like the equivalent of like negative 40 in Calgary, right? Like it's about the same thing.
Something like that. So by the time everyone is watching this right now, I will be on a flight to New Orleans, and I'll be in Mardi Gras all weekend. So if it's if the gods allow, I will do an MSP Dispatch mini hello broadcast from the float in Mardi Gras on Sunday night. So maybe we can.
That is awesome. That. I can only imagine Tony doing the click, like, and subscribe.
Click, like, and throwing. Yeah, I'm throwing. I'm like, you subscribe and you subscribe.
I love it. You know what else I love, Tony?
Tell me.
I love Linux, and I love that it's never has anything bad, right?
Yeah. Let's talk.
Maybe we should get into the news.
Yeah. Let's do it. Critically, jumping on my first story, a critical vulnerability affecting most Linux distros allows for bootkits. In arstechnica.com, they're talking about it. Specifically, a critical vulnerability in Linux that permits firmware-level malware installation, affecting the shim component, which verifies boot integrity before the OS initiates. The vulnerability, CVE 2023-40547, stems from a buffer overflow in shims handling of networks booting via HTTP, enabling attackers to execute arbitrary code. While exploiting this flaw presents challenges, such as forcing a system to boot from HTTP or gaining physical or administrative access, it poses a significant threat by bypassing endpoint protection and facilitating the installation of bootkits. Fixing the flaw requires patching the buffer overflow and updating secure boot mechanisms. Although exploitation in secure environments is unlikely, the severity of the consequences emphasizes the need for patching now. Ray, we need to talk about something we've never talked about before. People need to patch their stuff. We've never mentioned it. We've never talked about it. I'm sorry to throw this at you, blindside you. Talk to us while I go poke my eyes out.
Patches? I don't need no stinking patches. So the thing that kills me is Linux is actually ridiculously easy to update. Like in most cases, you don't even need to restart the system. In cases of Ubuntu, there's actually professional services, which are ridiculously cheap, and they cover LTS versions, the long-term versions. So if you want to hold back on 1604, 1804, whatever it is, you can do it. So I have no empathy for anybody not patching Linux. This is not Windows where you bought a computer and it just had Windows. I get it. The bar is very low for entry. there's not a lot of Linux PCs I see or laptops being sold at Best Buy or Office Depot. If you have Linux and you're using Linux, you did that there was intentional. You went through some work to install it, right?
But sudo app update, boop, done and done.
How is that hard? How is that hard?
You know what? I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. I just did that. Maybe I went too fast. SUDO spacebar. APT spacebar. Update. Enter. You know what? That's what I forgot the enter part. But here's an interesting question, and this is I'm going to throw out an idealism to you, which for the pedestrians out there, Ray, please remove yourself from this conversation for a moment. For the pedestrians out there, what I'm about to say makes all the sense in the world. Which is, why do I have to type that in? Why don't you just have it run that like in a cron job, like once a day, every hour, just check it out. Now, this is when we implement the Ray Orsinis of the world, anyone who's, what's that called? Experienced, initiated, where you're like, I don't want you to update my stuff arbitrarily. I need to know what that update actually entails, because it could force a root reboot. It could force a conflict, a forking of the code, something that I could have done that will directly be impacted by this particular update. And I'd like to know that. So I think that's the answer to the question, which goes into the next question. Why can't we just have for the pedestrians that just like to, hey, can you just run this cron job once a day to prevent these problems?
Ubuntu has this. Ubuntu Desktop has this built in. You got to enable it.
I know this. And let's pretend. Let's
pretend we're going the old sysadmin route of I don't trust Windows patches and I don't trust Linux patches and blah, blah. Okay, cool. I get where you're going with this. However, realize I'm a service provider. We run a lot of Linux machines processing thousands of calls a minute globally. I understand what it is to run a lot of Linux systems. You can absolutely lock packages so those don't get updated, but let the other stuff update. So if you want PHP, you want Node, you want Apache, you want whatever to update automatically, because statistically that's where your RCEs are going to be, right? So you want those to update automatically, and you have regular backups because you've watched MSP Dispatch at least for 30 seconds at a time. And then you can say, never update these, update the rest. And then you build your own update cycle for those critical systems, which is exactly what we do, right? Because yes, a MySQL update can absolutely bork your installation. An Apache update can bork your installation. I get it. There's critical systems, but you can't tell me updating apt repositories is going to break you. You get what I'm saying? Like, there are certain things. Stop. And again, if you installed Linux, it was intentional. Don't install something you don't know how to manage.
You and I are on the same page. But I am fascinated. It's still not made easier and more autonomous. And I will say this right now: the one thing that could possibly stop this is if Linux distros partnered with the right companies, maybe the right investors. They got a substantial investment just for this particular thing, because an investment can make such a huge difference and do things for the betterment of the community. Look at this. Well, there's a story. Maybe you are talking about an investment.
I love that you're looking the opposite direction.
Do you like that? You like that? I noticed right when I was doing it, I was like,
You're right, Tony.
hey, hold on just a second. Ray, you need to calm down.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to disappear like a ninja while we get to the next story. In my first business story, NinjaOne fuels customer success with $231.5 million in funding in a round led by ICONIQ Growth, written by Sal Sferlaza for NinjaOne. NinjaOne, an IT platform for endpoint management and security, secured $231.5 million in a Series C funding round led by ICONIQ Growth. Co-founder and CEO Sal Sferlaza, and I apologize, Sal, noted that the investment, which values NinjaOne at $1.9 billion, will support long-term success and product enhancement. Additionally, NinjaOne's tools used by over 17,000 customers include HelloFresh and NVIDIA, prioritize customer success and automate IT operations. Joining me to discuss this is Jonathan Crow, Director of Community at NinjaOne. How you doing, Jonathan?
I'm doing great, Ray. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on. So we don't normally cover funding rounds and commitments of that kind, but NinjaOne is one of the unique, I'd like to say, shining stars in our industry, where you guys are incredibly transparent. You have a phenomenal community that you've built around both your own Discord and being active in other communities like MSP Geek, MMN, and we've done stuff together for years. NinjaOne is just great. So when NinjaOne says we're doubling down on partners when they already have a strong community standing, I'm interested. So what does this actually mean to us?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, I know you say you don't cover funding rounds and everything, but when we were thinking about communicating this news to our partners, we were real about it, right? It's exciting news in a lot of different ways that we can talk about, but we also were realistic about it and know that due to the history of the space, everyone's going to have some concerns and questions that are completely valid. And so we wanted to exactly. So we wanted to get out and really just do what we do, which is communicate and be transparent. And I think that in terms of what this means for folks, for Ninja customers, it means, first of all, this was a minority investment. Sal and his co-founder, Chris, are still in control of the company. We're basically putting fuel on the fire, is the one way to think about it. This is a growth equity investment versus a private equity investment that we've seen in the space, and the results of that play out differently. In the case of Ninja, we truly are going to be investing into R&D, of course. Ninja's always been builders versus buyers in terms of products. So that's going to be a big priority. And then, like you mentioned, and like that article mentions, customer success and support.
So bring that down to brass tacks, because R&D investment, phenomenal. Product is support, phenomenal. But you guys are already doing really well in those arenas. And I love the putting the pedal to the metal, just going full blast on getting it done. Can you, and I know it's early days, you guys just did the announcement. I'm not holding you to a roadmap here.
Yeah.
But as director of community, can you tell me what things you would like to see? Like what ideas you might have?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, on the product front, I mean, we've already had some announcements around, we're launching MDM and we're expanding in some other areas there. In terms of the support side, one thing I think is interesting is if you look across, I think one of the reasons we're getting some good feedback on this story is it's been a while since we've seen a positive story in terms of valuation and things. We feel super fortunate. I mean, if you look at the news in the tech world, I mean, it's layoffs, it's cutbacks, and typically what those cutbacks are in customer success and support. And we have seen that's where we're winning, really. And so as we grow, we got 17,000 partners now. We're having to add on to support that way. In terms of concrete things, I've got some more budget on the community side where I'm really excited to be doing some more initiatives and sponsorships this year. So we're really thinking into how can we add value to the community. It's what's gotten us here. And now we're super excited to have a bigger war chest to be able to do more stuff.
I love that. And it should be called out. Like you said, this is a growth equity investment, not a private equity investment. It's funny because almost universally, anytime a funding round is brought up, Reddit goes nuts. MSP Geek goes nuts. MRU goes. You've seen it. You're in those communities. Yes. You see it. It's like, oh, PE comes in, they ruin everything, blah, blah. I'm a little optimistic here. I'm very optimistic here for the simple reason that this is not your seed round. It's not your A round. It's not your B round. You guys have done this rodeo, and you have the history of showing the company can still meet financial goals and service the partners the way they need to be. And that's the ultimate goal, right? Money's not bad. It just needs to be used for good. And so I didn't mention it here, but we already have customer feedback or partner feedback on Reddit and some other forums saying it's a good thing. They're happy to see this. So I congratulate you and the entire NinjaOne team. Thank you so much for coming on, Jonathan. If you're not part of the NinjaOne Discord, they do a ton of events and they have the open stages, and it's just an amazing community. We'll include the link below in the show notes, as well as Jonathan's LinkedIn, so you can reach out. He's everywhere. I highly suggest following him. Thank you so much, Jonathan. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you, Ray. I appreciate everything you do.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
In my next story from TechCrunch.com, Meta cuts off third-party access to Facebook groups. Meta's decision to shut down its Facebook Groups API has sparked chaos among developers and customers. The move, announced with the release of Facebook Graph API version 19.0, will eliminate the existing API used by developers and businesses for scheduling posts to Facebook groups within 90 days, including all associated permissions and features. Although Meta promises to address some features with the new API version, developers anticipate major disruptions. For instance, businesses like VipeCloud, which rely on the API to schedule social media posts, anticipate revenue losses and customer distress. Similarly, smaller companies such as Post My Party face potential shutdowns, jeopardizing years of work and customer bases. There are also concerns regarding Meta's communication transparency and the impact on ongoing future projects. Despite the uncertainty, developers and businesses affected by the API shutdown are waiting for Meta's clarification and solutions. Ray, we have talked about this for so long. The subtlety in a company moving has drastic ripple out impact on its customer base. This is one of those scenarios where maybe they're thinking, hey, listen, we just don't want nefarious applications consuming this API to do these posts in these groups. But at the same time, they're completely ostracizing and negatively affecting the positive applications such as the ability to schedule events, social media posts, etc., that are being used by a consumer base that's really tied into the Facebook community. What are your thoughts on this, and do you see a path around this?
I think it's hilarious on the heels of us covering Reddit doing the same shenanigans last year. And
did you see how calm I was asking you this? What I wanted to do is scream. You have battled this.
Calm. To me, I've known you for a long time at this point. I could see the anger bubbling up. Like, what the dolphin is wrong with you?
I'm watching the Reddit. The users freaking out. Let's shut Reddit down. We're all going to boycott. And I remember you were literally at the forefront of that. And I was like, do I read this story? Will it trigger him?
Here's the difference, though. Here's the problem that pisses me off. This is not a Reddit, we're not making enough money from our API thing. This is not a Twitter/X, we're cutting off our API and we're doing these shenanigans because we don't actually make money and we're a crappy company. This is Facebook. Yes, a crappy company, but they're not broke. They make a crap ton of money. So I don't see the revenue incentive here. I don't see the same burden. Yes, APIs cost money. Data costs money, pipes cost money, no question. But at the same time, come on. Facebook has always been a little weird when it comes to groups, right? Between your ability to tag, your ability to post, there's some things you can advertise. You already have to be an admin of a group to be able to have API access anyway. Facebook's always been a little odd on the API side. But this to me goes from odd to what the f*** is wrong with you? Am I overreacting here?
I want to know what is the impetus? What is the driving force behind we need to cut these individuals off? Is it individuals? Is it actions? Is it a theme of something that maybe is going in the wrong direction or could go in the wrong direction? And typing into ChatGPT says, oh yeah, you got to get rid of this. This is going to go really squirrely in the next 18 months. I'm not understanding the driving force behind it. Now, that being said, I do agree with better qualification and monitoring of consumer level commercial apps, such as the scheduling, the posting. And I think there are certain compliancy that maybe they have to subcategorize what the application types are and the access types are. And it would not be wildly disruptive, not just to the company, but to their entire customer base that Facebook has a vested interest to take care of them, which of course would ostracize everyone else that's outside of the categories that are initially identified. But I'm of the opinion that this wasn't thought through very well, or if it was, it's not being communicated very well. So I'm interested to see frankly, of our particular customer base, who is using these social media posting apps. Marketing is kind of a big thing in our industry, just like most industries. And Facebook is a huge thing in our industry, just like most industries. I want to know who is going to be affected by the ability to create automatically scheduled posts, social media posts, marketing posts, events, possibly for user groups, localized events for your individual customer base. Who's going to be affected by this? I would love to know that if we can talk about it online.
The Reddit API affected the third-party apps, right? And I get their gripe was the third-party apps didn't show advertisements. Well, create rules around it, right? We talked about this. But Reddit is Fun, which is a better app than the native Reddit app, was threatened by this, right? Twitter, similarly, you have TweetDeck that was threatened by their API chip, and TweetDeck is better than using Twitter.com.
I totally forgot about that one. Yeah.
Yeah. And so now you have Facebook. This threatens Hootsuite. This threatens a lot of posters that, for those of us in social media marketing, we're scheduling this stuff a month, 2 months, 3 months out in advance, right? Anybody who's ever had to cross-post social for any kind of marketing team knows it is miserable for those cases where you have to do it by hand, right? Like those things suck. But I want to know how this is going to affect the end users. Let us know in the comments below. Let us know on Discord. But for now, Tony, let us know some notables.
Let's get into the notables.
In my first notable mention, ransomware payments reached record $1.1 billion in 2023, written by Bill Toulis for Bleeping Computer. In 2023, ransomware payments surged to a record-breaking $1.1 billion, reversing the decline witnessed in 2022 and making a highly lucrative year for ransomware gangs. The rise was due to more attacks on big institutions and infrastructure, like Klopp's extensive Move It campaign. You can see those Move It articles that we covered in previous shows. Some groups like Lockbit made frequent moderate-sized payments, while others like Klopp targeted fewer but larger victims by exploiting zero-day vulnerabilities for big payouts. Ransomware gangs are adapting by targeting larger companies for substantial ransoms and increasing attack frequency to offset declining payments. In addition, the laundering of ransomware payments primarily occurred through mixing services and underground exchanges, prompting law enforcement crackdowns. And despite declining victim compliance, ransomware operations remain profitable. In my second notable mention, Dell Technologies announces 2024 Partner Program Enhancements, written by Ty Trumbull for Channel E2E. Dell Technologies marks its 40th anniversary with its 2024 Partner Program launch, aiming to enhance partnerships and invest in shared growth in technology. Denise Millard, SVP of Global Alliances, highlights partners' crucial role, which contributed to roughly 50% of revenue and over 60% of new customers. The program aims to strengthen partnerships through better collaboration and strategic incentives. It also focuses on modernizing Dell's core business with new competencies to match changing customer needs and market opportunities. Key updates include higher profit potentials for Dell Apex infrastructure offerings and addressing the growing demand for sustainable technology solutions. With a commitment to partner success, Dell's program strives to respond to the evolving IT industry and support technological progress.
Jumping on my first notable from darkreading.com. AnyDesk has been compromised and passwords have been revoked. AnyDesk, a remote desktop service provider, disclosed that its production systems have been compromised. As a precautionary measure, the company plans to revoke all security certificates and reset web portal passwords. AnyDesk emphasized that no end user devices were breached and that their systems are designed to not store sensitive information. Moreover, they are working with law enforcement that have found no evidence of ransomware. AnyDesk urged customers to update their passwords and assured them that their systems are secure. On my next notable mention from Infoworld.com, jQuery 4.0 trims browser support and removes APIs. jQuery 4.0 beta brings browser support changes and removes deprecated APIs. It drops support for older browsers like Internet Explorer, Edge, Legacy, Firefox, and iOS. Deprecated APIs, including jQuery prototype array methods, have been removed and replaced by equivalent array functions. The release adds support to trusted types for secure HTML manipulation. Additionally, native browser behavior is followed, except in IE, and the slim build has become smaller with the removal of defaults and callbacks. Released on February 6th, Developers can access the full changelog on GitHub and download the beta from jQuery CDN or NPM.
Today, we're diving into Meta's ambitious AI strategy, leveraging vast amounts of user data from Facebook and Instagram, and the emerging concerns surrounding privacy, ethics, and misinformation. In the vast and ever-expanding universe of AI, the fuel that powers these intelligent machines is data, vast quantities of it. Recently, it's come to light that Meta, the titan behind Facebook and Instagram, intend to use the data from its billions of users to train its AI models. Yes, you heard that right. Your posts, photos, and even those adorable pet pictures you thought were just for friends and family could be training the next generation of AI. So, what to do? Just stop posting? I'm sure some folks might say that just isn't possible. Posting on Facebook or Instagram could be vital to their livelihood, or it might just be their main outlet for sharing with family and friends to stay connected. Or let's assume you could just stop posting forever. How much of your data is already on these sites? And how much of it is already being used to train their AI? Zuckerberg boasts of having access to more user-generated content than the Common Crawl dataset, positioning Meta to potentially lead in the development of advanced conversational AI and other AI-driven products. This strategic move aims to capitalize on decades of user interactions, from posts to comments, transforming these into a dataset of unprecedented scale and personal insight. According to reports from Gizmodo and Bloomberg, it appears Meta isn't yet using our data to train their AI, at least they aren't really admitting to that, but they have their eyes set on that prize.
In our feedback from the YouTubes, on Tuesday's February 6 MSP Dispatch, at Steven Spalding 3943 says, if you're on the internet and have an account somewhere that has personal information, it's safe to assume that other people have it too. Agreed 1000%.
There are plenty of amazing upcoming events taking place across the community, so let's see what's happening this week. Later today at noon Eastern Time, Demo Days, presented by Channel Program featuring SaaS Alerts demo for MSPs. And then next week, an in-person event running February 12th through the 16th, NerdioCON 2024 in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. And also another in-person event running the 13th through the 15th, 7-Figure MSP Live in Chandler, Arizona. And coming from the MSP Media Network this week, we have later today at 11 o'clock Eastern Time, MSP Community Live. And then a special standalone episode of MSP Dispatch will be coming to you on Saturday at 10 a.m. And then next week on the 14th at 10 a.m., AI Roundup will be back for another episode. Coming March 4th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, a special Channel Program webinar all about finding new revenue opportunities via automation and process, featuring Greg Sharp, CEO and founder of Zen Contract, Frank Gurney, Channel Director of Security Studio, and Tara Rummer, Director of Community and Events at EmiBot, with special guest moderator Ray Orsini, CEO of OIT VoIP and founder of the MSP Media Network. Follow the link in the show notes to save your seat and learn proven strategies to increase your monthly recurring revenue.
So how'd you like today's show? If you like it, please hit that thumbs up button, just like that. If you didn't like it, go ahead and hit it twice. Just like that. If you want to hear more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button on YouTube or your favorite podcatcher. And did you know that we have a Discord that we post stories all week long? You can even propose your own stories and even vote on which stories we're going to talk about next. As our friend Rich Banky says, make sure you tell a friend, and be sure to follow us on social media at MSP Media TV. And do you have any questions? Email us, news@mspmedia.tv for answers on the next episode. Or just call us and leave us a voicemail at 833-MSP-Network. Ray, I am so excited that you transitioned from Thanos to phone talker to from a news broadcaster, from land this amazing show. Just another one coming in hot.
I will just finish it with MSP Dispatch is inevitable.
been a broadcast of the MSP Media Network.
While exploiting this flaw, Presence going so well. Ready?
Denise Millard,